welcome to episode 82 of Equal Opportunity Crafter Podcast. My name is Juliana, and you can find me on Ravelry as Jules Lunder, and just about anywhere else, Instagram and whatnot. Hello, I hope you guys have had a wonderful, I'm going to say it's been, a month and a half since our last podcast, and that's because we went on vacation. Yay! I meant to record right before we left, but of course, silly me, why would I think I'd have time? I had a million things to get done before we left, and so of course I was doing that, and I didn't have time to do it. Sorry. And then we got back, and I don't know if you guys are the same as me, but even when vacations are like fun and crazy and stuff, when I come back I'm like, oh, I just need a break. We actually got back on a Friday about 2 weeks ago, and the whole weekend we just kind of did nothing. I didn't even unpack, I didn't do any laundry, I was just like, done. I don't want to do anything except sit on my butt, which is basically all I did. Which, you know, I mean, you have to have a vacation from your vacation, which is kind of how I felt. But it's been a little while, but I wanted to tell you about what's been going on. So, first of all, vacation! Woo! I've been talking about it forever, right? We've been planning it for the last year. So, I took, my husband and I took our two sons, and my husband's parents went with us on a Disney cruise, which was really fun. There were a lot of things on it that my boys and us as a family weren't necessarily interested in, but they sounded like, for maybe families with typical children, it might have been a really fun thing. Like, my boys didn't care about meeting any of the characters, so, you know, they always had, you could meet the princesses, or Mickey, or all these people, and my boys just didn't care. They loved the pool. They went swimming every single day. We were in Florida for a few days before, and then another few days after, so everywhere we went, we made sure there was a pool, and they were just happy all the time about swimming. 24-hour ice cream on the cruise ship, so I mean, come on, what's wrong with that, right? So all the time, anytime, I was like, ice cream? More ice cream? Let's go get some ice cream. James found banana ice cream, which was like his favorite, so the whole time he wanted banana ice cream. He was mad when we got back that we didn't have banana ice cream in our freezer, because, come on, everyone should have banana ice cream. So anyway, they really loved that. I wrote down some things I remember. The flight. Now, I was a little bit nervous about the flight. We live in Utah. The cruise left from Florida. That is a 5-hour flight. Yeah, so I was a little bit nervous because, I mean, the boys have done well on long drives. We've done, like up to Bear Lake, it's about a 2-hour drive. They've done really well. We went on a road trip about, it's got to be like 4 years ago now, because James was not even 1 yet. And they did fine, and we did, you know, like a 5-hour leg and spent the night, and then another 5-hour leg to New Mexico, and they did well. You know, we would stop about halfway and go to the restroom and get some food and all that, but I was nervous about the airplane because, first of all, you have to stay in your seat basically the whole time, and there's so many people and like things going on, and you're looking out the window and their ears are gonna pop, but they did great. James, my youngest, freaked out a little bit. He's my scaredy cat. He was actually sitting next to Grandma by one window, and Ben was on the other window, and you know, when the airplane goes up, he just kind of leaned forward the whole time, and he was like, all done, all done, all done, just freaking out about it until we kind of got to the elevation we were going to stay at, and then he finally relaxed, and they had their backpacks, and they had their iPads, and, you know, coloring books, and snacks. I think I went a little bit overboard on snacks, but I knew, like, if we wanted food on the airplane, we'd have to buy it, and I didn't want to have to, like, wait for food service, and then with it being a 5-hour flight, I knew they'd be hungry, so anyway, we overpacked on snacks. But is there such a thing as overpacking on snacks? I don't think so. I convinced James, my youngest, that beef jerky was good. We got kind of the organic, whatever, beef jerky, and he saw it, and he's like, it's bacon, and I'm like, okay, we'll go with that. It's bacon, because he'll eat it if it's bacon, so whatever. Ben didn't fall for that trick, my oldest. He would eat bacon, but not the not the beef jerky. Ben loved the airplane. He at first was a little bit nervous about going on the cruise ship, but I think it's because he thought it was like a little boat of some sort, and he likes little boats. We took him canoeing at the lake last summer, and he liked that, but I don't think he understood really what that meant. To be on a cruise ship, it's basically a floating hotel. It's huge, right? You feel like you're in a building. I'm trying to think what else. James, my youngest, loved the hotel we stayed in the first night because it was like 15 stories. We were on the 15th floor, and we had a balcony and everything, and he felt like he was Curious George because there's a lobby and there's an elevator, and he was just like loving it. He wanted to go back to the building. Go to the building. So that was good. It's random stuff like that that they loved, which is funny. While in Florida, we went to a place called Gatorland, which, as it sounds, has a lot of alligators, and it's like a preserve for alligators and everything. And we signed up to do a zip line, which I was a little bit nervous about. And unfortunately, by the time we decided we were going to do it, it was the week of, before we were leaving. If we would have planned ahead, and we had talked about it, but I was like, oh, I don't know, let's wait till we get closer, see how the boys are, you know, developmentally, and what we think they can do. And I felt like, yeah, this is something they could do. And I had seen some pictures, and they had, you know, kids strapped to the front of the parents. So I was like, oh, well, then we'll be fine. But when we got there, they were both too tall to do it that way. They had to go individually. Anyway, all this is to say that by the time we booked our zipline time, the only time available for all 6 of us was at 2 p.m. So we were at the park all day, and the boys were like wasted and tired and just cranky. You know, they didn't want to do it, but as soon as we got on the zip line, I'll put pictures at the end because you guys have to see. Ben was like the happiest kid on earth on the zip line. And, you know, he gets to the end of the zip line. Troy went first, and then we sent Ben so he would be there at the end, and they were very safe, and the guides were really good and everything, so I wasn't concerned at all. Ben gets to the end, he goes, go again, go again. He was so excited, and James, poor guy, he was like shaking because he's a scaredy cat. And I was so nervous because he was going to go by himself, but the guy's like, don't worry about it. So he straps him in, and he's like, we'll just push him down. He has to go. So he has to go, and the first time, James would say, he was just like, and every time after every zip line, James would say, all done, all done. And Ben would just say, go again, go again. So we have like the 2 boys who are just, you know, opposite in every way, basically. The cruise was great, the food was amazing, of course. The only negative, I would say, for the Disney cruise, and I would say this is true of all cruises, so it's not a complaint specifically against Disney, but for all cruises with kids, if you're taking your kids, is dinner. The food was amazing. They were very accommodating with bringing food for the boys. You know, they only wanted chicken nuggets. They didn't want whatever was on the menu. And they made it happen. And in fact, I think the second night we told the waiter, you know, the server said, well, what would he like to eat? You know, and I just said, oh, chips? Do you guys have chips? And he says, well, we don't have it here, but I can get you some chips. And so I don't know exactly where he got it, if he went to the buffet or went to somewhere he found chips and he brought it. And then the next day, when we came to dinner, he had the chips ready for him, you know, so he did really good in that way. They were all really good and accommodating of the kids. But dinner was like an hour and a half long. It was a sit-down meal. They would, you know, bring your drinks, and then they would bring your menus, and you would choose your appetizer, and then your super salad, and then your main course, and then your dessert. I mean, it was a big elaborate event, right? And the boys were just like, give me food, let me eat, let's go swim, basically. So it was kind of hard to keep them engaged with whatever. I mean, they did fine, but it wasn't just my kids. A lot of the kids in the area were like, oh, done. So that's the only real complaint I have about that, is it would have been nice to just have like the expedited dinner where it's like, let's pick everything and then just bring it all out, we'll eat it, we'll go. Make it a half hour instead of an hour and a half. But everything else was great. The pool was great. Castaway Cay was great. That's Disney's private island. That was really cool. We got to feed stingrays, which was kind of crazy. I got smacked in the face with a stingray tail. They de-claw them or whatever it is on the back. They say it's like a fingernail, basically, so they can snip it off. And that only really hurts if it like it's embedded in you. So anyway, I just got smacked with the tail, and I was like, well, I'm over this. But Ben loved it. He was giggling. I'm trying to think what else was great. In the Bahamas, we went to Atlantis Resort, which is like a huge water park, and also an aquarium. We didn't end up going in the aquarium part, just because we didn't have time. By the time we were kind of winding down with the water park area, we had to get back to our shuttle to get back to the cruise ship. But I hear it's amazing, so there's that. The only other concern I had there with the Atlantis was, and our, you know, in-laws, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law had been there with the kids, and they're like, oh, it's so amazing, and they have all these water slides, and blah, it's all great. And Ben, like I say, my oldest, he is a daredevil, so if there's a slide, he wants to go down it. But he is like 2 inches too short to go on any of them, and so it was kind of frustrating because, I mean, he cried. He had a meltdown, like lay down on the sidewalk, cry, not moving, for about an hour, because he could see the slides, he wanted to go on them, he would have loved them, he could do it, but they wouldn't let him on the slides. So that was really frustrating. That would have been nice to know ahead of time in the literature we were reading about height requirements, but, you know. But we made do with the little kiddie slides and everything else. So, again, that was kind of a little thing, but for him, that's the only reason we booked this excursion, was because he would have loved it. So that was a little bit frustrating. Maybe that's a bad on us, that we really should have investigated that more, and in the future, for sure, if we plan to take him anywhere like that with activities, I'm going to have to really triple check that he's going to be able to go on the rides. But anyway, all that is to say that it was a lot of fun on vacation. Glad to be home, though. I don't know what it is, but every time I go on vacation, I have a great time, but when I come home, I'm like, oh, it's so nice to be home, to just be in your space with your things, you know, you're not always constantly going or trying to figure out how to get somewhere or what, you just feel more comfortable. Anyway, so that's what's going on. I'm using my bullet journal, I've mentioned before, as my show notes, which is kind of nice to have a bullet journal. Some of you have told me you've started one, so I absolutely want you to post pictures. I want to see what yours look like. Mine have been through a bit of a transition. So I think last time I showed you, I was doing kind of like a daily type pages like this. So each day had their notes and stuff. And then I was trying to journal at the end of each day, just kind of a little, 2-3 sentence highlight of the day or way I was feeling or something, because I thought that might be helpful. And I need to get back to that. But this was, it felt like it was taking up a lot of space and had more stuff on it than what I needed. And I actually needed more room for like a daily task thing, because there's a lot of like scheduling things, you know this with kids, right? And my boys have ABA tutors. In the summer, hopefully they're going to start like swim lessons, maybe gymnastics for Ben. I have to get James to preschool. The bus comes home at a certain time. Troy, my husband, has meetings after school this day, but not this day. I have meetings for little different church things this day, not this day, whatever. So I just need to know where I need to be and what time, basically. So then I started a weekly layout. So I did a weekly like this, just so I could see everything for the week, and then continued on with dailies. And that worked okay, because you can see like a month like this, it wouldn't really, there's not enough room for everything that needed to happen in the day. So I would just put kind of the big things on the month ones. And then I found this layout online on Pinterest, which I thought was kind of cool. And it had the month across the top, and then you actually cut the top off one page. So you have a gatefold to have room for all 7 days that week, which I thought was kind of cool. I ended up having room, so I put a quote there, which says, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible," by Walt Disney. I was feeling like Disney. We were getting ready to go on a Disney cruise. I actually have blank pages, so I'll probably, as you can see from back here, I just finished filling out the page for the podcast, so I'll just probably move to these two for the next one. And that's the cool thing about bullet journal. You just go to the next page, and that's fine. I don't even know why I skipped this page. I don't know. There's another month layout, April, and then I did April and May all next to each other so I could start filling stuff in. Did another layout for the week with a gatefold type thing. But then, when I got to this next week, I ended up not, this is the week we left on vacation, so I didn't even use Thursday, Friday, we left on Friday. So I didn't even use that, and then when, there's a week that skipped, and then when we came back, it was like this, and again, I ended up not even using the second half, and we were home the whole time. So, I changed up the layout again. This is the current week. So what I did is, I did the months, or the days off to the side, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then in the middle, I'm doing the dailies like that. So I wrote the day, and then there's the sun, kind of telling me the temperature for each day. So you can plan ahead what you're going to wear and everything. I kind of wanted to see how much room I would take. And so I think there's enough room on this for me to write maybe like a 1-sentence summary of the day, kind of a journal type thing. So maybe for the next week, so when I continue on the next blank page, I think I'll try that. That'll be good. And then at the top I just did goals for the week, where I don't really care what day they get done. They just need to get done sometime this week. And on there it says, record the podcast. I'm doing it, so I'll be able to check that off when I'm done. Anyway, so I'm really enjoying the bullet journal. I better get back to my show notes so I don't get distracted, you guys. I think that's it for intro. Hopefully you guys are having a great time. We're back to spring here, but spring in Utah is a little bit, I don't know, the weather is very changeable. So Before we left on vacation, it was like in the high 60s, low 70s. Apparently while we were gone, it snowed twice. One of my neighbors went skiing the week we were gone, so go figure. That's what you do in March in Utah, you know, April. Anyway, so then we came back and it's been kind of cold. And by cold, I mean like high 50s, low 60s. It's been rainy a little bit, which has been good for the grass, but I want it to be warm. I made all these warm summer clothes that I want to be able to wear again. But anyway, so that's what's going on around here. Let's move on to the crafting. We've got a lot to talk about. I actually did some knitting. Yo, that's amazing. So I'll show you the knitting. I have a finished object and I have a few more works in progress that I've done some work on. And then sewing, lots of sewing, because I finished up a bunch of stuff for the cruise. I didn't get everything done that I wanted to, but I did finish up a lot and had plenty of clothes to wear, obviously. So I'll show you all that, and yeah, let's go from there. Knitting. Okay, so let's talk about knitting. I have a finished object. I finished just before the cruise because I told myself that I could not start on the cruise projects, so the ones I plan to take on the cruise, until I finished Troy's socks, which have taken me almost a full year to finish because of all the mishaps, and I know I've talked to you about it. So here's the two socks. He's worn them a couple times, he's washed them, and in fact, I'm going to say that post-wash, just in regular laundry, it's superwash wool and nylon, it's like super soft. I think it's almost softer after it's been washed than it was before, so that's a win, right? So this is just a made-up sock pattern because it took me 3 tries to get the foot to fit him around his foot. He has kind of a wide foot. And so what I did, as you can see, I don't have a sock blocker, but on the bottom, the sole of the foot is just stockinette. On the front, it's a 3x1 rib all the way around the leg and then across the top of the foot so that it kind of does stretch a bit. I ended up with, I think it was a total of 72 stitches all around. Don't quote me on that. It's in the notes on Ravelry, and I'll link that in the show notes, which are going to be at equalopportunitycrafter.com. But anyway, this is where it ended up. They are slightly short in length, only because, and I've mentioned this before, I started the sock first and got all the way to the end and he couldn't pull it over his foot. It was too narrow, which was super frustrating. So I ripped it back to the toe and started over, made it bigger. It seemed still too tight, so I ripped it back to the toe again and then again did it for this final size. But where I had already finished one sock, I just used the yarn that got me that far. And because I made it wider, so around the circumference was bigger, then the length ended up being almost 2 inches shorter because I did about 8 inches more. Well, what would that be? 64 to, yeah, 8 inches or 8 stitches more, which is about 1 inch more in circumference. So basically I added an entire inch all the way up the sock, which of course is going to take off the height. Originally when I made it, if you folded it the other way, this way, the leg actually went to the tip of the toe. But you can see how much I lost in length there when I had to change the sizing. The heel, I just did a regular, decrease on the side's heel. It kind of looks like the toe. The only thing I did different, I hope you can see right there, there's a little bit of a gusset, maybe it's easier to see on this side, where I went back and forth a little bit on these edges just to add a little pooch. Maybe you can see the pooch this way. It kind of poofs out right there, just so that across the front of the foot it's not too tight on him. But this was a forethought heel, so I put a little yarn there to hold the spot so I could keep the stripe pattern going across the top of the foot, and then I went back and did the heel. So that worked out really well. Now he's got his pair of socks and they look wonderful on him and he enjoys them. I did have to go back on one of the socks and I probably won't be able to find it even if I wanted to, because I dropped a stitch on one of these socks somewhere at some point. But I just went back and caught it and, wove in the ends and whatever to fix it. So that worked out. That is a finished object. Yay! So because I finished that, I felt good about my knitting projects for the cruise. So I planned for 2 knitting projects that are kind of a little bit different in scale and scope. Now, the first one I actually got to work on while on vacation, and that was my own sock out of yarn from the same company. So this is from Biscotti and CIE, right? And company. It's a Canadian company, but in French Canadian. So I bought this yarn at the same time last year around this time to make socks for Troy for his birthday, which would have been last May. So, you know, whatever. And then these are for me. And I'm doing mine also toe up, as you can see, and I'm actually using the, what is the name of this pattern? Double gusset on bottom toe up sock pattern. Very descriptive of what it is. So basically, on the bottom of your foot, as you work your way up, I just started, you can see my stitch markers there, there's going to be a gusset. So it's actually going to gusset out under the foot instead of on the side, and then you'll do your heel and continue. So I'm excited to try that, and I'm going to do the integrated heel, so it's not an afterthought, because I do want to be able to just keep going forever and ever. So I actually split my yarn in half. This is half of the ball of yarn, and I think my other half is somewhere. It's up there, really, really high at the top of this cabinet, so the boys can't reach it. I have, I don't think you can see here, but I have like a big container over here that has yarn in it, but Ben likes to dig around in it and use yarn for different things. Those are my leftovers, so I didn't want to put it in there because then he might get to it and cut pieces off of it. So I kept it separate. So here's what it looks like in the ball, right? Pretty fabulous. And this is what it looks like as a sock so far. And I wrote down the details, but it's in my notes here, so let me take a look. This is just my striped sock using that pattern. I gave you the name of it. Biscotti and C, Arc in Ciel. So rainbow, basically, in French, right? Which is exactly what it looks like. It's pretty awesome. I love it. It's fitting great. I'm using 64 stitches around for my foot. I have like witch feet and witch fingers. They're like super long and skinny. So it makes it great for playing the piano, but kind of ridiculous. So that's where this is coming. And I started the toe before I left because I know the toe can be a little bit finicky, especially the cast on because I don't have it memorized. The is it Judy's Magic Cast On? So I did that and I did the toe, and then on the airplane going to Florida I did maybe like 4 inches. I got a lot done. And then when I was there, we had to drive at some point from Orlando to Port Canaveral, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna start on my other project, which I was so excited to start on, which is in this bag. This is a bag I made before we left, out the night before, I think. I just followed a pattern that I found on Pinterest. So it's got like one short, little tiny handle and one big one, and then you just pull the big one through, and it kind of does that. Which was cool, and that's the way it's supposed to close, but I was worried that things would fall out of it, or the little hands would go digging. So I actually added to the pattern this inside little drawstring. So it's kind of got a little drawstring in addition to the way that that handle works. Anyway, so this is a shawl, and this is called the Age of Brass and Steam kerchief. So it's a triangle shawl. At some point it will look like this. It will grow up to look like that. And as you can see, I have been keeping track of how many rows I'm doing what here. And that became a problem because I started it at home before I left, again, because it's got kind of the garter tab start, so it's a little bit tricky, and I was like, well, if I'm on the airplane or if I'm trying to put stitch markers while I'm kids, whatever, so I thought, okay, I'll start it off and then I'll just be able to go. So I had done 5 or 6 repeats of that first section. Let me pull it out so I can show you. But then when I went to pull it out again while on vacation, this was sitting on my coffee table at home. And I didn't have Wi-Fi on the cruise ship, I couldn't print it again, and even if I could have printed it again or put it on my iPod or something, I didn't know where I was. I maybe could have counted or started over, but I didn't want to, so I was just like, ah, fine. And it had beads on it, which I, again, could have done. I planned to do it while on vacation, but then I thought, oh, I'll just keep working on the sock, I'll put this aside. So really, all of the work that I've done on this has been at home, but so far here is where it's at. Let me see if I can stretch it out a little bit so you can see what it looks like. And I did put these beads on it. These are actually 2O seed beads, so they're huge beads. I probably could have gone a size a little smaller, but whatever. I am using Madeline Tosh Pashmina. You guys, Pashmina. And let me get the Do I have the ball bound in here? Probably not. But there's cashmere in this. And it's like a sport weight yarn. The pattern calls for worsted, I believe. DK to worsted. This is actually sport weight. And I have more yardage than this calls for, obviously because it's a thinner yarn. And the pattern calls for a US 8. I'm actually using, I think it's a US 4. Let me look. Let me see. Yep, US 4. So I'm using a smaller needle size, of course, because the yarn is smaller. And I think it's looking pretty good. This is in the Penumbra colorway, so shadow basically, right? Perfect. It's kind of like this eggplanty purple, which is a color I like. I like jewel tones, and I think it'll be pretty cool, so I'm excited. Woo, and we'll see how it grows with the beads. So I did the first section. I added a little bit based on some of the modifications that other people who've made this project have made, so this is a little bit deeper because, again, I have more yardage, and I prefer a bigger shawl, so that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm just going to keep going for as long as I possibly can. Make this as big as I possibly can. So I'm super excited about that. The row with the beads does slow me down. It took me 2 nights to do it. Because it's like every other stitch, but you also have to knit 2 together, and then you have to do that, and then there's yarn over and so it is a little bit finicky to do, but it's once every like 10 or... There's a pattern repeat of 10 2-row repeats, so it's really 20 rows. So it takes 20 rows, and then you do beads, and then another 20 rows, and then you do beads. So, I mean, it's not all the time, but then of course it's getting larger, so the next eyelet section is going to be longer, and it'll take me longer and everything. And then of course by the time I came back, I had set this aside on my coffee table down here. Bad mistake. I shouldn't leave anything out. I need to know this, obviously. I should know this with kids, right? I come back, and in my little notions pouch that I put in here, which is just a little makeup pouch, I have my beads in here. And I actually found this cool container at Joann's. It's actually for beads. So I put the beads in here, and then I also had in a little zipper pouch the beads on one of these like floss. They're supposed to be like for braces and stuff, but on the floss, and that's how I put it on the yarn, on the stitch as I go, right? Well, little hands found it and cut, because there's scissors in there, cut all of the floss into little pieces, and the beads were everywhere, and I was just like, oh, of course they were. So yeah, that made it super fun. But anyway, don't leave things out for little hands. I gotta remember they're like puppy dogs, right? Don't leave something out your dog can chew on. Same with boys, because they're gonna mess things up. So as far as knitting, that is all I have, but I do have a lot of sewing to show you that I completed. All of it before the vacation. I haven't done any sewing since we got back. I have done this knitting, but no sewing. Just because I have to get back in here. I had to clean up the craft room because I kind of was like, crazy projects, and then I finally just left on vacation, so it's still a little bit of a mess in here. So I took some time yesterday and kind of cleaned up here in the craft room, and I think I'm ready to get started on sewing again, so let's talk about that. Okay, so let's talk about sewing. Like I said, I wanted to make all the things for the cruise. I didn't get everything done, but I did get a lot done. I still have my piles kind of here of the stuff that's left. I'll tell you what though, the things that I am now thinking, okay, this is what I want to focus on, are 1, bras, and I think I've talked about it before. I bought 2 classes on Craft Year. I got them for Christmas from Troy. For bra making, and then another class came out. It was the sewing bras, foam and lace class, and so I bought that for myself here recently, just before the vacation. And I kind of just started watching it, but that's like the advanced stuff that you're gonna do. And I haven't really made bras. I made one way before, like before James was born, and I haven't made any since. So I really need to get back into that. That's something I want to really like figure out and like get a good pattern figured out, so I can then start doing all the fun things and have lots of bras that fit me. Wouldn't that be the dream? And then secondly is swimsuits, because I'll tell you what, I'm kind of a swimsuit fail. I made the, is it Closet Case Files, Heather from Closet Case Files, bombshell swimsuit, again a couple years, it's gotta be 2-3 years ago, and I made both versions of that, and I prefer the halter version. And that one fits me, and it fits great. The other version fit me, but I think it was a little bit big, so before the cruise I actually took in kind of the hip area a little bit, so it kind of fit a little bit snugger. You want that on a swimsuit, right? So I took those two, and then I took this one that I made recently, and I haven't shown it on the podcast, but I think I posted it on Instagram or somewhere. So this one, and I don't think I have the sewing pattern I use for it. I probably put it away in my, cleaning fit. So I can't even tell you what the pattern is. It's on Instagram or on the blog somewhere. But, so this swimsuit turned out really well. One of the things I really like about it is the bum shaping. The seam here. It kind of scoops down, so it covers more of your bum cheek, which is ideal for me. But I think I should have pulled the elastic a little bit more taut in that area, because this does seem to kind of want to flap up, which defeats the purpose of having it covering that area. The rest of it fits really well. I could probably do with having a bit of a deeper armhole, maybe just half an inch. It's just a scooch tight up here. And then the top is good. It originally had this V on the front, which was nice, but, I'm well endowed, we'll say. And so it tends to kind of flap open, and it's a little bit too open for my preferences. So I just went back and kind of bar tacked it down, just did a little back and forth. The other thing I changed about this pattern is on the inside, so let me flip it out for you. I added a shelf bra to it. So I basically just took, this pattern also had a bikini top option, so I took that pattern and used it for this lining piece, and then just added the thick elastic there. So this sits under your bust and gives you a little bit more support, or at least to keep the girls up where they need to be, right? So that worked out really well. I liked that swimsuit, and I think I'll make another one using this pattern. What I'll probably do is use the version that doesn't have the V across the front, just to keep everything covered up a little bit, and then maybe make those changes, like I said, scoop down the side a little bit, and maybe even the back a little bit. The other thought I had is I could scoop the back deeper and then put a strap across, so it kind of, goes all the way across, and put one of those, like, bra closures. So it has a little bit of support there across, the back of the bust, but it's a little bit more open down the back, and I think I'd like that a little bit better. So that's the swimsuit I made that I took on the cruise. Now the other swimsuits I attempted did not work out, and I actually kept them around just so I could show you. I attempted using the bra patterns to make cups, so let me see, where's the outside area? That would go inside of the swimsuit, but I couldn't figure out the best way to attach it to the swimsuit, and this actually seems a little bit small of a cup. So I might have to actually investigate the sizing of those bra patterns a little bit more closely to figure out what size I should actually get. I attempted Simplicity's 1374 because I thought it was super cute, especially this tankini right there. That's the one I was shooting for. But again, with being a well-endowed gal, that top has zero support. Like, zero support. Let me see if I have my attempt in here. Oh no, this was a different one too. Which one was this? I have all of my failures in here, you guys, for you to laugh and mock at. Okay, here's the one that I was attempting. This is the top, and it's basically, okay, so it looks ridiculous like this, but there's like no support, and I tried to add, so after the fact I went back under the bust, there's a seam, and I tried to add like this elastic to just keep it from separating out, right, so the bust stays in the bust cups. And that helped okay, but then the top bit, this kind of strap at the top that's supposed to sit, kind of like a sweetheart neckline up here, it keeps dipping. Well, the side seam has a strap that comes out of it, and it's just supposed to sit on top of that and attach here and then go around your neck like so. But this strains so much, and it puts so much pressure on my neck. It kind of looks ridiculous on, and it puts so much pressure on my neck to just keep that up. It's not an ideal shape for me. And I just need to admit that. I need to deal with that and just look at it and say, well, that's not going to work for me. And be okay with it. I tried another one, and I don't think, let me see what the pattern is for this one. Is it this one? Oh, this was the pattern for the flower one. So this is Butterick 4526, and this one actually worked. That was the one with the hibiscus flowers. As you can see, it's got kind of a little V cut out at the front, so I think next time I'll do the one without the V. And this is actually the wrap that I showed you last time as well. It came from this pattern. Sorry, I'm going to dig around down here. I have my drawers, my little plastic drawers that live over there, and I'm gonna figure out maybe. So the bombshell pattern, this is the pattern that I had previously made that actually worked for me. So this one works okay. I changed it so it wasn't a halter, it doesn't tie around the back, but I just pulled the straps. So if you look at it right here, instead of tying, I pulled the straps all the way down to the back so that the pressure is actually back here versus on my neck. The other thing is on this version, this is actually my favorite one that I have. Instead of leaving the bust cups separate like that, I actually overlapped them by about 2 inches just for a little bit more coverage. You know, you gotta be a little bit careful with the ladies here. And then again on the back, instead of tying it at the top, I pulled them down so that it crosses and goes this way. So I actually had to pull it up here, stitched it together so it kind of meets right here, and then from there pulled them down so it comes down. So the pressure isn't all on my neck, it's also being kind of pulled down. There's got to be a better way to do that. That's kind of what I need to investigate, maybe a clip or something, so it's not so much pressure on my neck trying to hold everything up. And maybe it just needs to be tighter here. I don't know. I gotta investigate. Anyway, another pattern I tried, and I don't seem to have the pattern out here. I'm looking around my remaining mess. I think it was a Mimi G, so she's a blogger, a YouTuber as well. It was one of her patterns, and I kind of liked the idea of it, but in execution there just wasn't a whole lot of support. So this is how it would sit on your body. The straps cross in the back, so it's kind of hard to show. But it's got a V down the front, and I did black on the bottom, and then the band across the top I did in this crazy fabric. And the fabric I like, you know, the V is fine. It just, there's no support here. I would have to do some kind of bust, you know, like a shelf bra, or bust cups, or even, you know, bra cups with like a underwire or something to really give that some support, because it was kind of looking a little bit ridiculous. So I didn't even finish it. You can see the crotch is still open. It's not finished at all, because I was just kind of like, I'm done with you. I don't even want to think about you. And so I just decided, I had the 3 swimsuits, the one that I made, and then the 2 that I made a while back, so I just used those. That's kind of where I ended up. So that's what I've decided on swimsuits, but I really want to do it well. So what I did is on Berta Style. Now Berta is like a magazine company. They do pattern magazines, so you get a magazine, and then the insert has all the patterns that you can trace off. 20-30 patterns per magazine, but they also have a website, and you can download individual patterns that way. So I went on there, and they have what's called a sloper, which is kind of the basic fitting shell for different patterns, but included in one of them they had was a swimsuit sloper. So the idea is, I printed it off, you can see here, but the idea is, here's what it looks like. So it would look like this, and you would get this sloper to work with your knit swimsuit fabric, probably a lining or something because that's cheaper, and get your pattern so it's perfect for this kind of ridiculous shape, right? And then from there, you yourself would be able to adjust any pattern you wanted to that sloper. So I should ideally be able to look at this other pattern and say, well, I really want those design styles and features, transfer those to my sloper, and it should fit. So instead of, you know, having the high, so I'll just take this down a little bit, but you know that the waist is going to fit, and you know everything else is going to fit. So I'm going to try that, because I'd really like to be successful at making a swimsuit. I feel kind of like a failure at it, which, you know, whatever. I beat myself up about it. I know, it's my own problem. But we've got another trip coming up this summer. We're going to take the boys up to the lake for like a week. So I'll have a lot of time to use swimsuits. So I would hope that I can make maybe another 2, maybe 3, and so I could use the newer ones. That'd be fun. So that's one of the plans. All the other things that I made. So let's talk about that. I showed you my swim wrap last time. So with the leftover fabric, I had enough to actually make an infinity scarf, and I made 2 of them. So this is what it looks like. It's basically a long rectangle of fabric. I folded it in half and stitched it the long way, and then folded it and stitched it together so it's like a circle, right? So it's a loop, and ta-da! I have an infinity wrap. I could go around twice, make it like super tight, or I don't know, I wonder if I could put it like as a headband. Maybe. Let's figure it out. Let's learn together, shall we? I could maybe do something like, do I look like a Regency like I'm from Pride and Prejudice. I could do something like that. So anyway, I made 2 of them. I gave one to my mother-in-law when we got to the airport. I'm like, look, we can be twins. So we had our matching scarves, right? So there's that. And it's actually quite warm. It's basically a see-through chiffon type fabric, but it's doubled up and then it's wrapped, and it actually was quite warm for, you know, I mean, Florida, you don't need a lot of heat, but it was perfect. I liked it. So, ta-da, done. No pattern, just a big block that you just sew together. The other thing I made, and I think I posted on the blog a specific post about this, is this cardigan. So let me put this on to show you. It's just made of some knit fabric that I had lying around that a neighbor had brought to me. So I'll kind of show you what that looks like. It's just a cardigan, you guys. It's not much to it. It was actually a very easy pattern. One of the features I like is it has this big band here across the front, right? There's no closures. And then on the back neck, let me see if I can get to where you can see it. It's kind of scrunched up so it's not quite as high and holds its shape. They actually called for in the pattern for you to use like a piece of fabric or a piece of ribbon that was shorter than the full length, and then you can gather it and do it. But I was too lazy, and I had been doing all these swimsuits, so I just grabbed a piece of elastic, cut it to the finished size I wanted, started at the top, and then just stretched it as I sewed, so that way when you let go of the stretch, it makes it the size you want. Done. Without having to gather it and pin it. And so I wasn't into that. And then this cardigan also has a belt, self fabric, so out of the same fabric. So I can just, because it doesn't have a closure, it's kind of a more casual cardigan, right? But if I wanted to, I could put my belt on it. I kind of worry that with the belt, it kind of looks like a bathrobe because, you know, there's no closure and it's got the big band and whatever, but hey, whatever. But it's really warm. It turned out to be really warm and comfy, so I probably won't wear the belt very much with it, but just as a kind of big, loose cardigan. It's in the navy color that was part of the color scheme, so, you know, everything matches, see? So fancy. Alright, let's see what else I got going on here. I tried, one pattern that didn't work. I thought I'd show you a fail. And this was using, I got things everywhere, you guys. Butterick 5610. And it was supposed to look like this view up here, view A. Alright? My problem is, in my head, certain things look good on me. And then I try them on and they don't. And the problem with sewing is, to try it on, you have to kind of put it all together, right? So I made a muslin before I cut into my awesome fabric. So a muslin is when you take other fabric that isn't the nice and fancy one and make it so you can do all the test fitting on that before you cut out your nice fabric. This was actually a king-size bedsheet from the thrift store. I think I got it for like $3. And I have so much fabric out of a king-size sheet, so I was able to use it to put this together. This is actually the inside. You can see some of the changes I had to make. Like on the side, I had to take it in a good inch on each side. Well, 2, because there's 2 sides, right? So 4 inches altogether all the way around. And then I'll tell you what, at the top, the overlapped pleats, it took me forever. Not to do them, but just to figure out, like, the little pleats were fine, but then it crosses over, and I could not figure out how in the world that worked. So, now you can see how it works. But unfortunately, this style, I'm not even going to put it on, but there it is, it kind of ends up looking like a maternity top on me. And I've already had my babies, and I don't want to look like I'm going to have another. You know what I mean? So, just didn't work for me. And I know the style now is kind of the looser tops and skinny jeans, or the, you know, the leggings or something, but that just doesn't work for my body style, because I think because the top is a little bit bigger and my waist is not as big proportionally as it should be for the bust, that I just look like I'm pregnant, which is not the look I'm going for. So that didn't work, and that was frustrating that it didn't work, but at least it didn't work at this stage before I cut into my nice fabric. So that's a plus, I think, right there. And then I went on and did another muslin, and this time it was for Vogue, let me look over here, 1387, and I think I put the pattern away as well. So this was the muslin for it. Kind of ridiculous, because again, this was another bed sheet that I had lying around. And I just very quickly, not well done, put it together. You can see I used black thread. I'm like, that's what's in the machine, that's what I'm going with. Doesn't really matter. I was just trying it out to see, because everyone on patternreview.com, if you go to there, you can search by pattern, and then anyone who's put a review on there, you can see what they've said. So everyone on there who made this pattern said that the waist was way too high, that there's no way. And then because it's a crossover and there's no other closures, you have to be able to fit it over your head basically that way, and that it was kind of tight to get in, and then the waistline ended up right under their bust, and it wasn't quite right, and so a lot of people ended up adding 2 or 3 inches. I added 3 inches to mine, and I could probably do with like maybe another inch on it. So this muslin worked out. I added the 3 inches ahead of time so I could check it out, and that's when I decided, okay, that's going to be fine. And so then I ended up with a finished project. Here it is. Woo, look at this fabric. Isn't it awesome? It's basically seagulls, and some of them are flying right side up and some of them are flying right upside down. I couldn't figure out why some of them are one way and some are the other, but whatever. So the back yoke kind of goes down in a V, which I thought was kind of cool, and it's gathered right here. It has these little, the shoulder seam, or the shoulder area, is longer than it used to be, so it's kind of a drop shoulder, plus it has kind of this little band along the shoulder. Under the arm, this is kind of cool. So if I can open it up, it's got this little gusset in there. So that's kind of cool, because it is kind of a deep armhole. Like I said, I added almost 3 inches to this thing, so if you can imagine, this would have been a lot. It would have been like right here. And then the bottom. So this is the front. The one thing I do need to do, there's tabs here. The way these were supposed to be done is they were supposed to be attached to the elastic, so the elastic would be floating in there and the tabs would be attached to it. What I did instead is I put an elastic all the way around the waist and closed it up just like a regular thing, and then the tabs I actually attached on the inside to the side seam of the tab, so you can't see it from this side or from the inside. I don't know if that makes sense. You can't see it from either side, but the tabs are attached just to the side seams. And so these are kind of just decorative. They're not actually gathering it. What's gathering it is the elastic all the way around. And so I thought that would be a more comfortable way to wear it. And then too, I wouldn't always have to be adjusting where the gathers are. They're kind of already done. So that worked out really well. It's got kind of a shaped bottom there, and I think it turned out. The only thing I might add, for the most part, it sits fine across the V, but every once in a while, if I get moving a lot or if the boys are around, it kind of opens up a little bit more than I would want. And so what I did on the cruise is I just used a safety pin on the inside to keep the 2 flaps together, which is a fine way to do it. I could probably stitch on a clear, now I can't think of the name of it, snap, a clear snap, so that it has a way of connecting there. You wouldn't want to stitch it down because, like I said, you have to get it on over your head, and you couldn't do that if that were closed. You need the space of it in order to get in. If that makes sense. So anyway, this turned out really well. It's kind of funny, this fabric I saw on the Vogue pattern website. On a different pattern, they had made a shirt out of this fabric, which I thought was hilarious. I'm like, that's my fabric! I didn't know anyone else had it. Oh. I just got it at Hancock's, but it was cool. Did you hear that Hancock's is closing? That's a little bit sad. Other things that I've sewn. Last minute for the cruise, we remembered, oh yeah, there's a pirate night. We all need to dress up like pirates. There's a pirate party. Because we're in the Caribbean. Pirates in the Caribbean, right? And so I went through and pulled out the pajama pants patterns that I had for us. I made us pajama pants before, and the boys, I always make them their stuff. So I made everyone pajama pants out of black fabric, and then just cut the bottoms. So they're the ziggy-zaggies, right? Pretty easy. I think these are Ben's or James's or someone's. And then instead of making a top, I just went to Walmart or wherever and got a white t-shirt for like $3. And on the t-shirt, I just used scissors and I cut out the neckline. This has been washed, so it kind of looks ridiculous, but it was in different V's. Same with the sleeves. I just, snipped V's into it. Same with the bottom. But like I said, it's been washed and it looks ridiculous. I'm not going to keep this. This was just for the party on the cruise ship. But I kept it around to show you what I did. But that, again, took me away from other sewing for the cruise. But then I thought, oh, I'll just do this. And I was already frustrated with the the swimsuit, so I was just like, well, I'll just do this. This will be easy. I know I can actually do this. You have to pep talk yourself. The other thing I made is actual pajama pants for me, because again, I made some for myself out of fleece, so it's very warm, with a little flannel waistband. And this one I just used quilting cotton. So the colors from the color scheme, right? The coral and the navy and the white. So the waistband and then the coral. So this works really great for the warm weather. I did kind of a paper bag waistband, so I added a little bit extra to the typical waistband and then stitch it along the top so it would kind of ruffle a little bit. Put my little handmade tag in there, and it looks great. So that was another quick one that I did a day or two before I had to pack, because I was like, I need my pajama pants. Oh, and I also made the swimsuit cover-up, another swimsuit cover-up. This is from McCall 6083, so this is the pattern, and I made this version down here, version D. One thing I did do, again, is I added length to the top, because everyone said, a lot of people said they couldn't even get into it very easily, because this one, unlike the top, that I showed you that has the crossover, you're going from the bottom up, so you can finagle your way in. On this one, you're actually going from the top down. It's shorts that are attached, right? So you have to be able to get your hips through that and be able to pull it up and over your shoulder, so you need that extra room, right? You like that maneuver? Like that? Ah. So I made this out of a fake linen. I'm sure it's not real linen. Something poly linen blend from Joann's that I found, which is kind of this ridiculous color that I love. I love ridiculous colors. And this one, oh, I think this is the one I added 3 inches to. I think I only added 2 inches to the other bird top. And then I also added extra because to the waistband, I put in a thick elastic waistband instead of a thin one. The people that were making this out of kind of more fashion-y fabric, you know, some kind of knit or some kind of really cool sparkly whatever, were putting cool belts with it and kind of wearing it out. Yeah, this is just for the beach, so I didn't really care. It actually has pockets, which are awesome. Everything should have pockets. And I did add maybe 1 inch or 2 to the length, and then on the bottom, instead of doing a deep hem, I just rolled it up twice. I serged it and then rolled it up twice to get a narrow hem. Same with the front. Instead of having a facing on it, I just rolled it and stitched it. Jimbo found me. He's going to come in. I'm in here. Come on in. Do you want to say hi? These are my friends. Can you come say hi?
Hi.
Who are you? What's your name?
James.
James. Hi. Mom's almost done, okay? Can you go out and then I'll come find you? Close the door, okay? Can you close the door? James, can you close the door? Can you close the door? I'll come find you in a minute. Okay, let's finish up, because he's going to hang out with us. The last thing is, before I left, I don't remember what I had to go get, elastic or something, and of course I ended up buying fabric. So this is actually a sweater knit. I'll show it to you. It's the inside of it. It's kind of thin, and I don't know what I'm going to make with it yet, a sweater or a cardigan or something or other. But anyway, I gotta go to my stash. Oh no, come sit with me. Let's say bye to my friends.
I want to sit in my lap.
Come sit on my lap. Let's say bye. You ready? Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
And, oh, get down, hun. And I'll see you in about a month or so when I update you on crafts and everything.
Good.
Alright. So we're going to say goodbye. I'll post pictures of the vacation here after this. Come find me on Ravelry at our Equal Opportunity Crafter podcast.
I want to now.
Alright. So let's say bye. You ready? Come sit on my lap and let's say bye. Okay. Can we say bye, friends? Oh, wait. You got to say it. You do it. Say bye, friends.
Bye, friends.
Bye, friends.